Hi, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be doing the Manchester United versus Newcastle United preview for tomorrow's game, which is at Old Trafford. Um, Hopefully it's not raining because I believe we also footage of basically waterfalls happening at Old Trafford. It's just, yeah, that was embarrassing. It's just, yeah. Anyways, I plan on doing a video about that once the season comes to an end. So sometime next week, I should release a video about Old Trafford and all of that. But yeah, anyways, on to today's business. Let's get started with the preview. So as always, when it comes to the previews, I usually start by going or rather reacting to Erik Ten Hag's pre-match press conference. And one of the first things Ten Hag was asked in his press conference was Ten Hag was basically asked whether there were any players who were fit and available, so basically returning from injury. And Ten Hag basically said that Lisandro Martinez has been training with the team this week, and apparently he's going to be part of the matchday squad tomorrow night. He didn't say that he would start, so it didn't sound to me like he's fit enough to start the match, but I think he's probably going to be on the bench. He also said that there were other players who were also back this week and part of the back in training with the first team, and that was Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. So apparently they fit enough to train. But based on last week when he was asked in his press conference, he did say that they were fit enough, they were back in training, and we all expected them to play against Arsenal, but they weren't played. So I'm assuming Ten Hag is basically at this point, he's just saying, you know what, I'm going to rest all my best players for the FA Cup final next week. So I don't blame him, if I'm being honest, because we really have nothing to play for this time in this time of the season. We're not fighting for top 4, we're not fighting for top 6. So honestly, don't blame him for resting his best players. So anyways, it sounds like Bruno and Rashford are back in training, but it doesn't sound as if they'll be part of the matchday squad tomorrow. I think only Licha will be part of the matchday squad. And he also mentioned that Kambuala was also training with the first squad, so he's also going to be part of the first team. So I don't know if he's going to start or if he's going to be on the bench, but yeah, he's definitely going to be part of the matchday squad tomorrow night. Another question which Ten Hag was asked was basically earlier on, if you haven't seen it already, Rafa Varane basically did a video basically saying that thanks to Man United fans and everybody at the club, but he'll basically be leaving the club at the end of the season, which, to be honest, excuse me, I agree with it. I know people are sentimental about it. I know he's been our best defender, or the best centre half this season, I know. But I still think we need to move on from him. I mean, he's on very high wages. I think he's almost on like 350 grand a week. He's injury prone. Yes, when he's fit, he's our best defender. Or he has been this season anyways. But I think it's time to go, so I'm not too bothered about that. But anyways, Ten Hag was asked about that, and he was also asked if would Varane ever play for Man United again, or whether he won't play again this season. So Ten Hag basically said that Varane will play in the last 2 games. He's hoping he'll be fit to play on Sunday, and he's also hoping he'll be fit to play next week in the FA Cup final against Man City. So it definitely sounds like Varane is also back, or rather on his way back from injury, and Ten Hag is looking to save him for the last 2 games of the season. So again, I understand that. The next thing Ten Hag was asked was about Rasmus Højlund. Excuse me. He was asked about Rasmus Højlund in terms of he's been struggling this season. Basically, he's struggling. His form is very up and down. The journalist basically asked Ten Hag what his thoughts were, and what Ten Hag said was, when they signed Rasmus Højlund this season, they knew they were signing someone for the future and for the present. But he does feel that there's a good player in there. It just needs time, and basically due to the financial constraints in the summer, they couldn't afford to sign 2 strikers, even though they wanted 2. But they were also happy because they knew they had someone like Rashford who scored about 30 goals this last summer. So they felt adding someone like Rasmus would help the attack in terms of scoring more goals. So yeah, basically Ten Hag is bigging his player up, which I expect. What else was he asked? He was also asked about Bruno Fernandes. Apparently there were rumors throughout the week that Bruno is apparently considering his future at the club, so he might be looking to leave the club at the end of the season. So he was asked what his thoughts were on that. So Ten Hag basically said that he already answered the question last week, He was also asked again a follow-up question by the journalist as to how important Bruno is to the club, and Ten Hag basically said that Bruno's a fantastic player, fantastic captain, leader. He scored important goals for us this season, created chances, and has created is one of the highest chance creators in the league. So of course, Bruno Fernandes is very important to the club. So again, I expect him to give such an answer. Moving on, the last question which I saw him asked was the fans. The fans were, what does he expect from the fans in the last few games of the season? And basically, Ten Hag said he expects the same, more of the same. Basically, what he saw against Crystal Palace, even though we were getting battered and hammered, and the same against Arsenal. The fans were behind the team, so he hopes the fans will still be behind the team, as they've been a great support to the team. So he hopes the fans will continue to be behind the team, basically. And yeah, that was it when it came to Erik Ten Hag's pre-match conference for tomorrow's game. But going into tomorrow's game, I'm not going to say too much, really. I mean, Man United are rubbish, man. I think at this point, United are we're just looking forward to the FA Cup final. We don't really care about the league, where we finish. As for me personally, I don't want to finish in the top 7, because if we especially 7th, I don't want it. If you're getting Europe, I'd take Europa League, but not the conference. I don't want us playing the conference league. So if you finish 5th or 6th, would qualify for the Europa, but obviously that's out of our hands now. We're not going to get top 6. So the highest possible place we can finish is 7th, and that's against we're competing for that spot with Newcastle, who are currently above us. So tomorrow's game is going to be very important, very interesting. So for me, like I said, I don't want to get 7th place. I'd rather finish 8th. That way there's no Europe at all. If we're getting Europe, let it be at least the Europa League. I don't want to play in the Conference League. It's a rubbish competition. I'm sorry, but I don't want to play in that rubbish competition, honestly. I want nothing to do with it. So I hope we either finish 8th and then win the FA Cup somehow. Then we can qualify for Europa, because winning the FA Cup automatically qualifies you for the Europa League. So what I hope will happen is I hope we finish 8th but qualify, but win the FA Cup, hence qualifying for the the Europa League. But as for tomorrow's game, we're playing a Newcastle Newcastle side that's in good form. So I don't think United are going to win that game tomorrow night. I said it about 4 games ago that looking at our fixtures, I was seeing we had Crystal Palace, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Brighton. I said I don't think we'd get a single point in those games. I said we'd lose all 4 games, and I still stick by it. I know Newcastle drew their last game against Brighton, but prior to that, they had won their last 2 games, and quite convincingly. So I think it's going to be more of the same. I think Newcastle are going to dominate us tomorrow. We're going to look to sit back and try and hit them on the counter. Newcastle will press us, be on our necks, and try and make life difficult for us. But I just think at the end of the day, especially with all these injuries, I don't think the players will be up for it. And I think Newcastle will dominate us, and at the end of the day, they'll win. So yeah, that's my thoughts on tomorrow's game. As for my score prediction, I don't know. All I can say is I can see Newcastle winning. But if I'm to guess a score, it's at Old Trafford. I don't know. I think it's either going to be a 2-1 win for Newcastle or a 3-1 win. But because it's at Old Trafford, I'm just going to go ahead and say, I don't like doing this, but I think we're going to lose 2-1. I mean, not because I want us to lose, but looking at the players' performances, I just don't see players who are interested, if I'm being honest, in anything to do with the Premier League this season. So I can see us losing 2-1 tomorrow night. So yeah, those are my thoughts on to tomorrow's game. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said, or if you agree in the comment section. How do you think the game's gonna go? Comment below, let me know. So if you haven't already, please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys soon.